5 years I've been in Scotland. Edinburgh for 3, East Lothian for 2. My biggest regret during that time? Not moving out to East Lothian sooner. I love living out here. It's got all of my favourite things: great beaches, amazing trails for walking and running, good food, a relaxed coastal atmosphere, and lovely people. With summer holidays on the way, a lot of new faces will no doubt be making their way out here for a visit, so I thought I'd throw together a short guide for a great day out exploring East Lothian. Now, a quick 60-second of disclaimers first. You're welcome to skip these, the timecodes are below, but I just want to clear up a couple of things. Number one, I'm no expert and I haven't done everything. I have done a fair amount, and these are the best of those. Now, these recommendations are all based on my own opinions and my own preferences, so maybe won't be to your taste, so be sure to look around elsewhere too. Number two, no one is paying me or asking me to say nice things about any of these spots. Again, they're all my own opinions. 3, I'm really focusing on the coast in this guide. There are some amazing places inland East Lothian too, but to me, the real beauty of the region is in its beaches and its coastlines, so I'm going to be focusing on that. I will, however, offer a written inland alternative route in the comments below. And finally, this guide is entirely based around public transport, so that it's accessible to anyone, whether you have a car or not. That said, if you are in a car or on a bike, you can still do many of these things. You can just cherry pick them and probably do them a little bit quicker. With that said, let's get on to the guide. Now, for this guide, I've made the assumption that you're starting off in Edinburgh. It's early in the morning, let's hope the weather's okay. We're going to get ourselves to Musselburgh. Again, this guide is based around public transport, and thankfully there are loads of options to get out to Musselburgh. Lothian bus number 26 is very regular, or East Coast bus number 124 is probably best. We're going to take the bus a few times today, so worth picking yourself up a day ticket. Why Musselburgh? It's a pleasant enough place, sure. A lovely river walk, some charming little shops, but we're specifically stopping here for a spot of breakfast. There's a new spot opened up in Musselburgh, new at the time of recording, called Caffeine, with a K, with some great breakfast options, including some solid veggie options and the best coffee I've had anywhere between Portobello and North Berwick. Definitely worth stopping in to fuel up for a big day of adventures. After a quick walk around the town, we're back on the bus, jumping on the number 124, and we're going to take that all the way out to Aberlady. On the way, we could very well stop off in Prestonpans to explore the murals, Cockenzie and Portseton for its harbours, or Longnidree for its... but don't do any of that. Instead, we're heading right along to Aberlady, specifically Aberlady Bay Nature Reserve, for a nice walk. This reserve is home to loads of different migrating bird species at different times of year, and there's always rabbits and white-tailed deer to try and spot as well. At low tide, you can explore a couple of submarine wrecks from World War II, and you'll often have stunning stretches of coastline and the reserve all to yourself in here. I think it's a great spot, often underutilised and underrated. Just take a listen to how tranquil it is. A loop around the reserve is around a 5-kilometre walk, but I'd recommend doing the 5-kilometre walk beyond the reserve and along the coast to arrive at Gullen Beach. Now, that tranquility will probably come to an end when we arrive to Gullen. This beach is always super popular, and for good reason. It's very picturesque, it's sheltered, it's family friendly, and has some great rock pools to explore, or make a marriage proposal at. And from here we have options. We could spend all day on the beach or in the water. Mind that even when the sun is warm, the water is not. Gullen has a couple of spots you could stop at for lunch, or if you're feeling fit, you could carry on walking all the way along the coast to our next destination, which is around about a 10-kilometre walk. But if you don't want to spend all day on your feet, jump back on the number 124 bus in Gullen and take that all the way to North Berwick. Now, what can we say about North Berwick? Look, if none of that other stuff was of interest to you, you could quite easily catch the bus or train straight out to North Berwick in the morning and easily spend a full day exploring the town. That is what most people do, and if you fancy that, great. It is a lovely spot, but it does get very, very busy, and spending the full day here means you'll miss out on some of East Lothian's other gems. But again, a fine way to spend the day. You have an abundance of options for lunch here, if you wish. A Landers is a crowd favourite for an ice cream, but if you're going to visit North Berwick, there are two things that I would consider quite essential. Number one, get yourself a coffee from Steampunk Coffee, and two, get a twice-baked almond croissant from Bostock Bakery. Promise me, if you visit North Berwick or East Linton, where their bakery is based, you will try a pastry from Bostock Bakery. Forget everything else I said, this is essential. The great thing about North Berwick is there is a regular train back to Edinburgh, so you could quite easily spend the rest of your day here, but in doing so, you're missing my personal favourite place in East Lothian, Dunbar. Cards on the table, getting to Dunbar from North Berwick is not the easiest. You could take the train back to Drem and then swap lines and take it over to Dunbar, or Eve Coaches is a local operator. I've not taken them, but they do connect the two. However you get there, it's certainly worth a visit. Dunbar, to me, is one of those places where you can really feel the influence that the harbour and fishing and the coastline has had on the place. It's very grounded, in my opinion, and certainly worth the extra effort to get there. If you do happen to be in a car, a couple of notable mentions on the way to Dunbar. Drift, just out of North Berwick, does an amazing bacon roll. I don't rate their coffee, but the views are worth it. Tantallon Castle is worth exploring and has some incredible views also over the Firth of Forth. Tyningham Beach is nice enough, but don't bother if it's a nice day. It's a dog to get parked at, and I think a little bit overrated. There are some other beaches well worth exploring, but they are lesser known, so for the sake of the locals, I won't mention them here, but easy enough to find out where they are if you're determined. Anyways, on to Dunbar. If you're on the bus, you're going to want to hop off at Belhaven. Here, there's a great beach, John Muir Country Park, a cracking Instagram opportunity if you can get the tides and conditions right. But for us, the reason we're hopping off here is to enjoy a lovely walk along the cliffs and into Dunbar. And this is a relatively new discovery for me. I've spent a fair amount of time in both Dunbar and Belhaven, but never connected the two on foot. Presumably by this time it's getting later in the day, you're hungry, maybe a little bit parched. For food, I'm sure Dunbar has some nice restaurants, Google will soon tell you, but I've never been there and not just ended up getting a chippy. A big day of exploring the coast, kind of feels rude not to. Would recommend Adriano's on the main street. A quick sidebar to that though, and this isn't aimed at Dunbar or East Lothian, whose fish and chips have been excellent, but the UK more generally. Your fish and chips are consistently overpriced and underwhelming. Sort it out. So today we've explored some small towns, some stunning sections of coastline, hopefully caught some sunshine. I can think of no better way to end the day than with a nice cold beer. And a great spot in Dunbar for that, and another relatively recent find for me, is Station Yard. This is the tap room for Winton Brewery, who are based out of Haddington, just inland in East Lothian, who serve some lovely beers in, I believe, East Lothian's smallest pub, and certainly one of the best beer gardens I've found in the area. I would recommend the Barry Swelly APA. And after a couple of cold ones, you are in the ideal spot, as right next door is the train station that'll take you straight back to Edinburgh, which will, hopefully, be incredibly underwhelming after a full day exploring what I consider to be the best place in Scotland's Central Belt. I do hope you've enjoyed this guide to my essential East Lothian day trip. If you have, leave a like, and for more videos about Scotland and East Lothian, hit that subscribe button. Again, I won't have covered everything in this guide, so if you know the area and there's something obvious that I've missed, be sure to leave a comment below. But for now, that wraps up this video. Quite fittingly, got a tin of Barry Swelly APA for the occasion. Thanks for watching. Sláinte.